This is Amanda. She works with us at Fast Track and she loves to play casino. If we look at the way Amanda plays, we can easily tell what type of player she is. Amanda is seeking the thrill of a life-changing moment and has developed an appetite for jackpot games. We can also see that she has a strategy. Amanda picks her games carefully and goes for jackpots that are beyond their theoretical drop point. In other words, Amanda cares about value and is motivated to play when she has an edge. Let's imagine for a second that Amanda is our only customer. Knowing what she cares about, what would we do to maximize her entertainment value and get her to spend more time with us? We would probably send her updates about growing jackpots and let her know when new jackpot games are being released. We could even create jackpot night campaigns specifically for her on the evenings we know she usually plays. The reality is, though, that none of us have just one Amanda to look after. Next to Amanda, we also have players like Dan, Sarah, and Stephen, and hundreds of thousands or even millions of other players to care for, all different from one another with their very own unique playstyles and behaviors. The problem is that CRM platforms have a fundamental design flaw. They are not designed to handle this level of complexity and are made to target one group of customers with one campaign at a time. If we want to achieve one-to-one experiences, we need a blank canvas, a new design. Welcome to the future of CRM. Using breakthrough technology, Fast Track is setting a new industry standard in how to conduct CRM. We have built the Singularity model, an engine that makes one-to-one experiences possible at scale. It observes every action the player makes in real time, using advanced machine learning and computations to establish a comprehensive player profile. Instead of transactional CRM, where you send one specific campaign to one group of players, the Singularity model uses a library of pre-built content that is ready to go at any time. We can be in control of what content is suitable for each individual player, and the model is able to handpick the most optimal piece of content for those players at the right moments. The Singularity model is not only capable of handpicking the right content, it is also able to determine the most optimal time to engage, which channel to use, and how a message will be communicated through media and text. Every single player will have their own experience, handpicked specifically for them. Self-learning one-to-one experiences are the future of CRM. Go at any time. We can be in control of go at any time. We can be in control of what content is suitable for each individual player.
I hope everybody's doing great. Let's have a very quick check here. Quick thumbs up, guys, whether you can hear and see me properly. Yeah, okay, awesome. I see already a lot of emojis coming through, so that's absolutely great. First, a very quick introduction of myself. My name is Jeroen, and I am Senior Solutions Consultant here at Fast Track. And we are here together because we're going to talk about something very exciting today, which is spotting churn before it happens. I will already start sharing my screen, guys. Let me share my screen here. I know that your time is valuable, so this will be a quick look at Fast Track's new churn model, as we can see here. So the churn, or player churn rather, it is actually a tough reality in the world of online casinos. And during this webinar, we'll explore how AI and machine learning can help you spot the players that are about to drop off and what you can do about it. So let's have a look at the game plan. So what to expect in today's session. First of all, I'm going to do a very quick introduction of Fast Track, and then we will be talking about why churn prediction matters and how it works exactly. Then we will be jumping into the demo environment where we will be installing and training the churn model. We are going to check our dashboards as well, because we want to find these bright spots, and performance tracking, and how to set up the prevention cycles using one-to-one experiences. All of this will take about 20 minutes. And then at the end of the session, we have a Q&A that has been reserved for this. And actually for that Q&A part, guys, So here somewhere on the bottom screen, you will see an emoji where it actually says questions as well. I see it now. So there you can actually drop the questions and I will make sure that these are answered. But first of all, I want to bring you up to speed what Fast Track is doing. So we are set out to digitalize the iGaming industry and deliver the first self-learning engagement platform. We are relentlessly focusing on this vision, and everything we do as a company is related to this vision. So how do we keep on track? Well, by solving core industry problems with iGaming specific solutions. That's why we have developed 3 key products that are iGaming specific. You already have seen that beautiful video in the beginning, but for some that don't know Fast Track and might be new here as well, to the Fast Track CRM and how it actually works, the most noticeable differences that CRM with other CRMs would be, first of all, the real-time data infrastructure that we are using. Everything in Fast Track is based on real time. Then the second part is the productivity and the speed of working in the system as well. So the process is much more leaner than any other system. And then the third, but not least, is the singularity model and how you can build one-to-one experiences. So that hyper-personalized touch with each individual player with minimal effort. On top of that, we have created our rewards platform. So this is a gamification solution, which is a model that is available inside of Fast Track. And then last but not least, our Greco team. So Greco is a sister company that works with gameplay risk, and in particular, anonymously analyzing gameplay data in order to spot bonus abusers and risk score these guys. I can go actually on and on about these products, but we are here for churn. We need to keep that focus. So if you want to learn more about any of these more into depth, then feel free to message me afterwards. So that's a very short intro. Now we are going to look at our most advanced churn model to date. So player churn is a reality of the iGaming industry, which I already mentioned, and it is a silent revenue killer. It is all about winning that customer loyalty. That's absolutely key. This presents a real challenge for operators, but the biggest one is timing. By the time a player has been inactive for 30 days, they have already walked out of the door. So we are going to jump into the session here. First, a few slides where first I'm going to explain the traditional churn prevention life cycle. This is probably a cycle that is already quite familiar for you guys as well. And for more other people actually in the market, they are doing something similar right now as well. It is not a terrible churn prevention model, but there is definitely a better way, which I, of course, will show you after as well. So what are we looking at? So typically, you have, of course, your active session that is happening, right? And to each session, there is going to be an end to it. And here on the timeline, we have set specific dates and time in future where you're going to target the people with campaigns. This could be after 1 day activity, 7 days, 14 days, 20 days, it can be anything. So by the moment that the player actually reaches day 30, the player will be marked as churned in your database, right? So this main challenge here is that it's actually working very inefficient because there are plenty of players that may return on, let's say, day 15 here. So that means that you bonus these players, you might be running a very costly CRM strategy on the back of this. So this is a very, as you can see, like it's a static and like a same flow approach for each one of these players. What I'm showing you here instead, and today as well, is the predictive churn prevention. using also one-to-one experiences. So we are adding here that blue layer that you see here. We are going to take the player history, all the active sessions that are ongoing, but also the end of each session is being taken in consideration. And then a part of that, the model is going to take on more than 150 data points, which is then used to model and to actually start predicting. So this model is being trained on your specific data. What happens here instead is that you don't need to take immediate action, which we had in the previous example. You could do it based on behavior, but the goal here is to stop triggering bonuses which should not be triggered. We instead are going to look at the probability, whether this probability is high of a player churning, and then start bonusing these players through. Could be a generosity model. So it's a much more efficient way of working, because you are focusing on the players that are actually needed that attention. And it is less costly, and it drives higher engagement as well, through bonus generosity, through timing, and only triggering when relevant. Of course, also in this example, like the timeline that you see here, you can absolutely sense some player engagement here when you notice that the churn prediction score is going up. But this does not per se have to be bonuses. This might be newsletters or game releases that is not necessarily as costly. Now, you might wonder how that works, and obviously it's a very good question. So how does it actually work, the churn prevention? So first of all, it is a casino-focused model, and the model will identify the likelihood of a player churning up to 30 days. It's taking on more than 150 data points that is being used to predict the probability of the player churning. It is trained on your data, as I mentioned before, and it is retrained every 30 days. The prediction is also running once a day by default, but you also, of course, have the possibility to enable real-time, because what I mentioned before, Fast Track has a real-time data infrastructure. For accuracy, the aim to train the model is to use at least 10,000 unique users and about 60,000 sessions. How does this translate in a helicopter view? So actually, after this slide, I'm going to jump into the demo. I promise, or I made that promise, of course, in the beginning as well. When we are talking about these 150 plus player behavior data points, we have noted here a few of them, which are typical session delays, frequency of plays, winning or losing, biggest win, luck and experience, deposit behaviors, and when registration occurred. These are all important, but there is so much more as well. And all of this is being fed into your machine learning system. And the AI model is being trained, and the output is essentially a scoring class. Depending on the level of risk, we move the player to that risk class accordingly. And this is then what you are going to use within your CRM strategy. So now we are going to jump into the environment. So let me log in. Okay, so this is the landing page. Again, like I mentioned before, there is a lot of fancy stuff that I can show you guys, but we are here for churn. So if you want to see something super in depth, then drop me a message, right, at the end of the session. But first, what I want to show you guys is how easy we made life of our operators to install this particular model. So I'm going to go to the space where you can actually install the model with a few clicks here. So this is the player features that you are going to install, and this is actually what we are going to use for that prediction model. As I mentioned earlier, the 150 plus data points, that we are taking into account, they are carefully, feature engineered to look at the most important intrinsic player behaviors that impacts. So of course, it is very important to run a requirements check to make sure that you have all the data required for the model to work in an optimized way. So when I run the requirements, it's going to check all of these requirements. And here, it basically says we are good to go. So in the moment when you're going to install this model, you will have all the player features automatically created. Of course, the player features that are related to the churn prediction model. So now that the model will be up and running, you are not going to blindly start creating campaigns, right? You want to not use a gut feeling, you want to take data-driven decisions. So for this, you are going to move to our Data Studio, which is our data visualization tool. So it's the most powerful analytical solution on the market with millions of data and the click of a button. So here you will be able to see, like on the first table that you see here, you will be able to see the player distribution of likeliness of churning players. And therefore, you can already identify your first blind spots to actually start creating that campaign. Next one up here, are we on the right track? So you might want to verify players, how they are actually moving from one particular risk class to another, compared from yesterday to today. But of course, you can set up any comparison period that you want. Like Data Studio is highly flexible. It's not like you need to use the dashboards as is. You can create from scratch and play around with it, of course. Let's have a further look as well, what we have here as an example. So here we have churn class by days of activity or inactivity rather. So here you can actually ask the question, is there a group that has to be prioritized, or are we over bonusing? Do we really need to send a campaign to a player which has a very low risk score and has been inactive for 10 days plus? So these are the type of questions that you should raise yourself in order to find these bright spots and actually strategize your CRM accordingly. So we have the model up and running. We have looked into the data. Now we are going to set up the life cycles. So what I'm going to show you guys is a life cycle where I'm going to actually use the old school way, the traditional way of churn prevention, to actually explain how the life cycle works within Fast Track. So there's a lot of information, but I'm using this as an example. So first of all, here on the top, you have an entry condition. So that's the condition for the players to be pulled into the cycle. Then further, you have all of these, let's say like areas. These are basically events. And the events, they are there to achieve your goal. What is your goal? To actually stop the player from churning, right? And your goal would always be your exit condition. So once the player, in this case, have made a successful deposit, player will be kicked out of the cycle and can move on with their day. So players are being pulled in. First of all, here you see a little bit of a split audience. Depending on the player value, you are going to send certain communication. In this case, we have an on-site notification, an email, one particular bonus for that group of VIPs, and an SMS. Same, but then different bonus, I would suppose, for your high-value players, and then anybody outside of the decision tree will receive the standard one. Here on the left-hand side, you have the triggers. And remember, with the classical model, you have featured triggers on dates of inactivity. Might be 1 day, 7 days, 14, 30, whatever it might be. So that's a classical way of approaching CRM, where you have that risk of over bonusing your players. Now, let's take this example with the same communication setup, but with different triggers entirely. So we are going to go to the prediction model, how it is being set up. So Here on top, a different entry condition, not time-based. We are going to look at negative churn movements for active and new churned predicted players. Also here on the left-hand side, no, again, not specific date and time triggers. No, we are going to look at players with their probability risk of churning within X amount of days. And furthermore, for the rest, we have our split audience again, and we have that one particular communication to fit that one group of players that have been split up there. Now, there is also a different way. Remember, we still need to cover these one-to-one experiences. So now if you want to supercharge this hyper-personalized approach with your players, then you are going to use this particular setup. So the major difference that you see here from the classical model and the previous one that I have shown you is that we are not going to send out a one-size-fits-all communication and bonus. We are going to look at the individual players so that, so actually it's that little green button here. So we are going to let Singularity do the work for us. I call it a little green button, but it has actually huge powers behind it. Because instead of sending out just one offer, the Singularity model is going to match the right generosity offer that it has available within their churn prevention collection library to each individual player. So a quick example, it might be, you can go crazy with it, with the different offer variations that you would have. I am in my churn prevention here that you see on top. And here Singularity is going to pick and choose. Look at player behavior profiles and it's going to match the right communication and offer for each and one of these individual players. So instead of having a one-size-fits-all offer, you have a hyper-personalized touch with your players and giving the offer that the player actually wants to receive. So in this case, you are not only engaging with the players following like a bad experience that happened on site, you are also engaging with the player well in advance before they actually break their pattern, and you're sending the right offer every single time. And that's, for us, that's why this is our most advanced churn model to date. Okay, I am running a little bit over. I promised that it was 20 minutes. So let's jump to the questions. Okay, so I'm going to go to some of the questions that have been raised here. Give me 1 second. How long have you worked at Fast Track? I have worked at Fast Track now 3 years, 4 months, and 3 days exactly. And I remember it vividly because I love to work here. So I know exactly the date when I walked in here. I was very excited, and I am still very excited here. Can we see what the data points are for the churn model? So that's a question from Kat that came through. So Kat, at the end of the session, you will also see my email address, but actually I have your email address as well, seeing that you have joined our session today. I'm going to actually put you in contact with our data science team. Actually, I did not mention the guys. So these are the mathematicians that we have here in Fast Track that are actually creating all of these models. Whether this is Singularity, whether it's the churn prediction model, personas, early VIP prediction, anything. So these are the guys that I will put you in contact with, and they will give you a little bit of insight of the ingredients that are in there, because there are 150 actually data points that we are taking into consideration. So taking note of that, Kat. Does it start running from day one a player registers? Yes, it does. Of course, you have your data requirements that have to be met. So that's a question from Anesh. Yes, it does. It starts running, but the model itself, we are going to look at X period of time since registration. Of course, you can customize the model according to your needs there as well. But yes, day one. Also, actually, the same for Singularity. We always have fail-safes is actually a hard word, but we have fallbacks, basically. If you have limited data currently, that you have a fallback of communication or approach, rather, of how to approach the model. So here, is the model easy to install if we are not on Fast Track? Well, no, it's not going to be super easy because you need to be with Fast Track. But for this, Bianca, please reach out to me, and then we will have that discussion, of course. I'll gladly start a partnership with you, and then you can use a model, because it will be available, or it is available for any of our partners. There are a lot of questions. Do you, so Angelina, do you plan to extend the churn prevention to sports as well? Yes, exactly. This is on our roadmap. The particular model that I have talked about, this is for casino only, but we have envisioned the next generation for the sports book as well to come. So I don't think, I think I don't have access to Data Studio. Where can I check the? David, I would advise you to contact your partner manager if you already signed a partner with us, and they'll gladly help you out. So Alex, do you feel that it might be worth over bonusing sometimes to increase the chance of churn? Or what? Okay, so yes, exactly. So the generosity model that I was actually mentioning there, that's actually the whole idea of it. It does not mean that you actually need to take this one-on-one, but this is something that we have seen working. When you are, reaching a certain threshold of probability of the player not returning over X amount of days, it works very well to actually be very generous with your offer itself. There are actually a lot of them. Nita, so actually this is actually another one for our data science team. What is the accuracy of the model based on your test? So that's for our data science team as well, Nita. I will put you in contact there. They were absolutely ecstatic about it. Obviously, we are not going to discuss any partner-related data, but from what you have seen before, how actually the models work when it's being pushed through the Fast Track machine learning. Obviously, we have tested that model before releasing as well. Yeah, there are actually a lot of questions. So guys, I will close the session. We have a record of all of your questions. I'm going to ask support from my lovely support team that is going to reach out to you guys and reply to each one of you. So to that, I want to thank you. It was an absolute pleasure presenting to you guys. You have my email address there. Feel free to contact me. And I really hope to see you soon at some point. So until then, take care, guys. Good luck.